Hi, and thank you so much for checking out this brand new podcast. It's called Guard Your Savings, and it has to do with your retirement. My name is Jeff Miles with Dolph Janis of Clear Income Strategies. His information and everything about Dolph and the team is at guardyoursavings.com. Again, that's guardyoursavings.com. Dolph, first of all, hello. Thanks for agreeing to do this podcast with me as we kind of share a lot of this information for people who are looking for their future and what that means when it's time to retire. I want to kind of go back a little bit to get us started and a little history on, first of all, how long have you been doing this and what made you decide to get into financial planning?
Well, let's get a couple more questions in there real quick. Why can't you, Jeff?
I just gave you about 17, so if you could just,
Well, first, I'd like to thank Thomas and Steve and Matt and giving me this opportunity to be spending time with you. You're a legend in the industry. So when I was told I could do these podcasts and get the word out of education, it was a no-brainer because anytime you can educate somebody, it's what makes me thrive.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah. I tell my daughter every day, if you learn something every day, you're going to gain yourself, your strength, and your confidence going forward. And in 2005, when I started this journey as an advisor, I told myself, I'm going to work on the safe side and work on the guaranteed side. I told my wife that. And education over advising is very important. And I always said I'm going to be an educator before an advisor first. I look back at all the things I've done in my life, anywhere from playing on the mini golf tours to being a casino dealer, being a restaurant owner to being a chef. It was all about interacting with other people. I've lived in 13 states, 36 different cities. Enjoy it when you're young because when you get older, you might not get to see it again.
That's right. And
I got into this industry by a fluke, to be honest with you. Even though I'm education in economics, in communications, and business management, and political science, my wife, who I met on the internet, met 21 years ago, celebrating our 20th anniversary in a couple months from now, met in New York City. I was in the restaurant industry. And she ran into this lady at the park because they both were nannies. And this guy came up to me and said, "Hey, how do you like to spend money?" I said, "I like to protect it more than anything." And he got me in the industry and gave me a chance. I said, "I'm going to try this." Mm-hmm. Got all my licenses, and the first year was a flop. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I felt like people didn't work with me because I didn't know what I was talking about. And then I kept on educating myself. And then the more it went on, and then years 2, and then 3, and then 4, and now it's like I started Clear Income Strategies Group over 10 years ago and built a huge base of people that are looking to protect their money, looking for guarantees. It's been the greatest journey of my life, next to meeting my wife and my daughter.
And that's why you call it guardyoursavings.com. It's guarding the money that's going to carry you through.
In life, like we talked about this before, sports, what wins championships? It's defense. Who's going to win a battle of the drivers driving down the road? Someone who's driving like a maniac or someone who's driving defensively and guarding what they're doing? If you're with your daughter and somebody's running at them at a frantic pace, what are you going to do? You're going to guard your daughter. You're going to guard your family. You're going to protect. You protect the things in this world that you love. And that's what I thrive about. I love my family. I love my clients. I love my staff because I'm going to protect each one of them all the time. And when you can protect them, you can guard them, and you can move forward. Now, there's things in your life that you have no choice of what's going to happen from day in to day out. You can't control Mother Nature.
Right.
You can't do that. You can't control all the stuff that's happening in Washington. But you can guard against these things out there. You can get yourself an umbrella if it's raining. You can get yourself protection when your money is at risk. There's different ways of guarding against everything else out there.
I feel like there's a lot of people, when they do think about what's going on in Washington, what's going on with the economy, let's say, and once again, these are things that we can't necessarily control. Sure, every 4 years we have an election that you can go cast your vote. At the end of the day, when the decision is made, we have to live with that decision for the next 4 years. And we have to find ways to maneuver through that 4 years if we don't necessarily agree with the way things are going, or we can figure out a way to take advantage of situations for the next 4 years if we do like the way things are going. And I think that there's something to be said for the way that you're saying guarding that is kind of like the way you win throughout moving through any of these cycles of elections or the economy.
Life is about choices, Jeff. And every day you have to make a choice when you wake up. And what are you going to have for breakfast? Where are you going to go that day? What am I going to do? How's work going to go? Every little thing you think of, your mind is an amazing, amazing thing that it just, so much stuff is up there that you can remember. You probably can remember your childhood favorite song that was written 25, 30 years ago, word for word. and your address of where you were brought up, but you can't remember what you had for dinner 4 nights ago or who won the Super Bowl last year. It's your mind works in a mysterious way. But also, your mind can forget things, unfortunately, but also your mind, and it can educate it. And you determine on how you want your mind to work. Who are you going to believe, who you're not going to believe. You see two people standing in a room, and they're just totally different than one another. Warren Buffett sitting on one side, behind a screen door. You couldn't see what his face was. And you have that Jordan something 4 or whatever from the Wolf of Wall Street. I'm sure we've all seen that movie. On the other side. And they could both talk to you about different things and the way they approach things. And you have no idea that one of them's Warren Buffett and the other one's the other guy. Whoever's the better salesman is going to get you one. You're going to believe that. And your mind's going to be listening to it because you're like, oh, this guy's so sharp, so sharp. So when you're talking to an advisor, you're talking to someone else out there, you have to decide and make your choice. Are you going to go left or are you going to go right? Are you going to go up or are you going to go down? And that's what I love about this world is the freedom of the United States is still there. You get to make your choice every day, whether you want to do this or whether you don't want to do this. But then again, whatever you do, Jeff, you have to own up to it and say yes. The hardest words to say in this world are 2 phrase words. Thank you, you're welcome, excuse me, appreciate it. Those are the words when I grew up you said to everybody.
Right.
Why are those so hard to say now? Because you don't want to offend somebody now. And it's a choice that you live in this world to make that say, thank you for opening the door for me versus just nodding.
This is all very life perspective when it comes to your decisions and what you want to do. And what's interesting, if you're listening to the podcast right now, and we're not really talking about the financial aspect of what it's like to be a financial advisor, but I would say that getting to know someone, just like what you said, there's a lot of people that are going to have a lot of the same information, right? But I think that integrity has a lot to do with that. And I think that presentation has everything to do with that. How somebody presents something to you is basically going to help, I would say, 90% of the decision that you're going to make. And knowing that where that's coming from, I think really helps in what that presentation looks like to you.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Now, look at one of the best shows, in my personal opinion, Seinfeld of all time.
Oh, yes.
The show about nothing.
What's the deal?
Exactly. But if you look at each individual character and you look at their personality and how they presented themselves, you had Kramer, though, giddy up. And then you had George, the freaked out one. And then you have Elaine, who's everything's going wrong. And then you have Jerry, who just doesn't know about anything. And then you throw in Newman and the rest. It's a heck of a cast. But you take out any one of those 4 pieces of the main character, the show changes. If you take out 2 of the characters, you just had, let's say, George and Jerry, and that was it, like the Super Bowl commercial. It's funny, but it's not the same thing.
Right.
So when you look at your portfolio or looking at anything in life, it's like the more pieces you can have to that puzzle, the better that puzzle is going to look. And that's the way I approach everything with the clients, with my staff, and everything is, let's fill that puzzle up with as many pieces, because the more pieces you have, the harder it is for that puzzle to break.
Absolutely. I love that. Good stuff. I want to go to just the mini tour thing because I'm a huge golfing fanatic. I mean, it's what I wish I could do for a living. That's probably one of the most difficult things to do is the journeyman mini tour player who's, basically you're devoting your life to golf, but the returns are not quite what they are on the PGA Tour. Tell me a little bit about how you got started into that part, how it worked out for you, and what it means to you in life.
It's a commitment.
Sure.
There's some guys I used to sponsor on the mini tours and the Hogan Tour. I mean, that's what I played on. I played a few Hogan events, many back in the day. I got started in Edgewood, Lake Tahoe. I was actually a dealer and a pit boss at Caesars Tahoe when it was still there, and Edgewood was right down the street. And I went out and played one day, and I shot a 65, 66, and I don't remember exactly what it was. And the guy said, hey, can you do that again tomorrow? I said, I'll try. And the next day I went out and shot another 66. Well, he happened to be executive with Kodak. Remember those guys with those phones back today? And he sponsored me, but I just didn't have the commitment and the time. And Vince, one of my associates I worked with, he said, yes, we played several events. We made a couple cuts and nothing ever there, but I just never had enough time to dedicate to it. And then at one time we were playing a qualifier. Unfortunately, Vince got hit by a drunk driver, and that ended my golf career right there. One of the worst days of my life when he never came back from getting lunch for us. So I quit golf for several years, but it taught me a lesson to never take anything for granted in this world. Cherish everything. There's 2 days in this world that you can never change. You can't change yesterday and you can't change tomorrow. You can learn from yesterday to get ready for tomorrow. But one thing I taught about golf, and I love playing it I could play it every day, but I don't want to play it every day. It's a commitment. It's a game. It's not like life. It's a game. And you're going to hit bad shots. Even the pros hit bad shots. And that's what I learned about golf the most, is that you're going to miss a 3-foot putt every once in a while. It happens to everybody. I mean, there's some guys that 4-putted from 3 feet before on some of these tournaments. It's okay. You're going to miss some marks in life. You're going to make mistakes. We make them every day. I mean, we stumble every day. I just stumbled a few minutes ago. It's going to happen. That's what golf taught me. It taught me that two things to succeed in it is you have to have the commitment to do it 24/7, and you got to be willing to accept that you made a mistake. And how that helped me out today is that when I'm working with clients, I'm like, when it comes to your financial future, I don't like to make mistakes. I'm going to cross the T's, dot the I's, make sure it's what you're looking for, number one. And two, tell them, hey, are you committed to this? Are you committed to this strategy that we've came up to? If you're not committed to it, let's look for something else.
And I think that's part of the thing that a lot of people may not understand when it comes to working with a financial advisor, especially as you're planning for retirement or maybe you're already in retirement, is that you need to be committed to whatever plan it is that you're going to go with, because you as the financial advisor, you can only do so much, and it is reliant on the person and what commitment level they have with that. But if they don't have that commitment level, then maybe there is other options for you to help them through when it comes to finding a place where commitment level becomes that much more.
Absolutely. If you have a family, you're committed to your family. With your daughter, all the way down to the animals. I mean, animals are part of the family. I got 4 cats, for God's sakes. I mean, It's a blank show out there, and it's just absolutely wonderful seeing their eyes and them flying up to you when you get home. But we committed to having 4 cats and how to take care of them. My daughter's committed to what she has to do. My wife's committed to what she has to do. It's like a job. Don't work a job because it pays you. Work the job because you like doing it and it pays you.
Right.
I mean, how many people have you met in your lifetime that say, God, I can't wait to get home from work. I hate what I do. Guess what, folks? If you haven't read the papers lately, everybody's hiring right now. You have to pick of the litter. What do you want to do and how long do you want to do it for? Me personally, I told my wife all this all the time, I don't plan on ever retiring because I love what I've done. I've been doing this for 20 years. I love what I do. I love helping people. I'm happiest is when someone says, hey, Dolph, I'm retiring. And I said, hey, we're 2 years ahead of schedule. How about that?
Yeah.
That's one of the happiest days of my life. I want to cut down to about 3 days a week in about 10 years, but I don't see myself ever stopping it because I made a commitment to anybody I'm helping with that I'm going to be there as long as my life. God willing, I live a long time that I can help all these people that are still retiring and going into retirement later in life.
I'm married. I've got a couple of kids. My kids are 10. My daughter will turn 13 here in just a couple of months. But they joke with me all the time about, hey, Dad, why are you so obsessed with golf? And one of the reasons that I like it is because it's such a parallel to life. And I tell them all the time, and I think that as people, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you are thinking about your financial future, about retirement. There are variables that we cannot control, like we were talking about. But I've told them there are 100 guys that every single week will hit a great shot and not win. There are guys that will hit a terrible shot and that will win. There are people who end up with the worst luck ever in a situation. They end up on the bad end of the draw, let's say, at a golf tournament just based off of when the weather moves in. And then there's people who they end up with the greatest luck of something that if it wasn't for that one ball hits off the tree and ends up back in the fairway, that's what won the golf tournament for them. These are a lot of the invariables that you're kind of getting into. And it's how you plan to handle everything from that point forward. I think that's going to make the biggest difference in whether or not you win this tournament called life.
My dad and I are very close. We talk all the time, almost every day. And I'm a Detroit Lions fan. And last year, the Lions actually did something they haven't done ever, and that's won a playoff game. And they ended up winning 2 of them. And in Detroit, you have to learn how to lose.
Yeah.
And in life, sometimes you have to learn how to fail.
Yeah.
Before you learn how to succeed.
Yep.
And once you learn how to fail, you know that feeling, and you don't want to have that feeling anymore, and it pushes you to succeed. And you think about that movie Tin Cup. Things were just going every which way but wrong for him. And what does he do? He hits one off the porta potty, off the ridge, goes down there, and his whole thing changed around.
Yep.
But sometimes it's just you need that spark in life, whether it's golf of, God, I just bogeyed 3 holes in a row, and I'm sitting in the rough, and I'm almost out of bounds. And then you hit the shot of your life, and everything just changes right on that moment. And you've got your confidence back. Nothing more important in life, in every aspect. When you have confidence, you're going to succeed. Last week, I got to play golf with a childhood hero, Mike Eruzione.
Amazing.
The Miracle on Ice. scored the 1980 winning goal against Russia on the way to beating Finland for the gold medal. And I asked Mike when I was halfway through the round, what is the one thing that your team had that other teams didn't? He goes, we believed in each other. We believed that we were going to succeed. And it was a very cheerful moment. And he goes, it was so, did you ever say that to Al Michaels? And so Al Michaels just said that on his own. It just happened to say, do you believe in miracles?
Yeah.
Because that's what it was. He goes, that one shot was a miracle in life for me. He goes, if I don't make that shot and Jimmy holds on to the puck and he scores, he's playing golf with you today. I'm not.
Right.
And he said, every moment in life can be a cherished moment. Just have to take it and run with it. Too many people run away from it instead of running for it.
I just got chills. That gives you chills just to think about, again, going back in that history of him making that goal, and there could have been a completely different outcome. But this is the one that he ended up in, and this is the one that he was able to flourish in.
That was his moment, and he took advantage of his moment. And the best thing about Mike Eruzione is he's humble.
Yeah.
He's sharing. He's not one of those $800 million a year kind of players who won't even sign an autograph for a kid.
Sure.
He stopped every time someone asked for an autograph and took a picture. He did not hesitate. And he's the greatest American icon, in my opinion, for the greatest sporting event ever known in U.S. history.
That's amazing. Well, Dolph, this is going to be an awesome podcast as we get into different ways that people can hopefully score that winning goal for their game of retirement down the road. Maybe they're already in it right now and they're looking for someone to kind of help them through that process. There's a lot to be learned from this podcast as we move forward. Guard Your Savings, the podcast with Dolph Janis, financial professional from Clear Income Strategies, the website guardyoursavings.com. Again, guardyoursavings.com. Much more to come. Dolph, this has been an awesome time getting to know you.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm really excited about the days going forward, and we'll have to get on the golf course every one of these times.
Very soon, very soon. I know you're going to be where I am here pretty soon. We're going to have to get this set up.
Game on, baby. Game on.
All right. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Randall Janis, North Carolina Insurance License number 8483456. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Dolph Janis is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Dolph Janis is licensed in your state, please call 704-919-0149.